When I was 17, I delivered pizza for a local pizza place. I'd tell you the name of it, but saying it out loud would bring back too many haunting memories for my liking. We got a call right about when we were about to close up. My boss answered the phone, and after a minute or so, he hung up the phone and told me to go deliver it. I was the only employee around this time of night, so of course I had to go do it, never mind how late or cold it was outside. I jumped in my car, typed in the address into my GPS, which was 00666 Bad Vibe Street, and was on my way. Anyways, after about 20 minutes of driving out of the city area, I get to a more rural area. My GPS told me to take a right turn onto a dirt road with trees lining it the whole way. Even in the darkness, I could see the dust cloud following my car all the way down the road. It was really rough on my tires and I could hear it. Looking back, I really should have gotten the car serviced, given that it was 20 years old and hadn't been serviced once, but I just couldn't get around to it, being a full-time high school student and all. Eventually, I reached the house. It was an older-looking farmhouse, just out here in the woods. The lawn had a few wooden pikes sticking up with goat heads lodged on top. I thought it was a little odd that he'd be preparing his Halloween decorations 10 months in advance of Halloween, but I thought nothing of it. I walked up to the front door and rang the doorbell. After about 15 seconds, the door opens to a guy in his late 50s, maybe early 60s, that honestly looked a bit sketchy at first glance. His hair was greasy, his eyes kind of baggy and sunken in, and he looked a bit unhealthy all in all. Not to mention the undershirt he wore had a bit of blood splattered on the chest area, the same blood that appeared to be on his hands as well. But hey, he's a farm guy. All those guys are kind of weird inbred hillbillies, right? So I didn't think anything was wrong at first. I told him, "Here's your pizza," but he said nothing. He just stood there, staring at me. There was something about this that seemed off, that made my heart drop a bit. But before I could think on it too long, he smiled and told me to come inside, that he didn't have his money on him, but he could get it for me without worrying about me being outside and cold. My stomach lurched a little at his tone, but I felt it would be just too rude to say no, so I did just as he asked. When I got inside, he went off into a different part of the house and told me to wait there. I stood there, pizza still in hand, and just took in the surroundings as I waited. The house must have been ancient, at least 30 years old. I figured this guy must really be one of those old country folks that raises and slaughters their own food, as there was a large trail of blood leading into the basement. Again, I found it odd, but nothing out of the ordinary as far as weird country people go.
"I'll be down in just a minute,"
I heard the man shout from upstairs. I heard him fumbling with a bunch of things. It sure was strange how long it was taking him to find the $15 for the pizza. I thought I'd go to wherever he went and help him look for the money. But just as I exited the hallway and went into the next room, I noticed something on the living room table. Movie tickets. Strange, the old guy didn't strike me as someone civilized who watched TV. But when I inspected the tickets more closely, I could feel my heart drop again. The most recent ticket was one to Joker. I knew right then just what kind of violent psychopath this man must be to go and watch this movie. With the pizza still in hand, I booked it to the front door. But because I was still holding onto the pizza with both hands, I slammed straight into the front door and practically bounced off it, falling back onto the floor.
"What's going on down there?"
I heard the man yell. I didn't answer, and simply picked up the pizza box with one hand this time, and opened the front door and ran as fast as I could to my car. When I finally reached my car, opened the door and got inside, I realized my heart sank. And I don't mean it dropped out of fear, though it most certainly did. I mean that, well, it seems like my heart had dropped so low over the night's events that it had fallen out of my anus. I was sitting on my own heart. I didn't have time to dwell on it, though. I heard the front door of the house slam open, and I noticed the man was carrying an assault rifle, pointed straight at me. I stepped on the gas and floored it out of there. I could hear him shooting at my car as I left. He only fired one shot at a time. It must have been one of those pump-action assault rifles or something. I heard him screaming, "I'll kill you next time I see you," over his gunfire, but I hardly noticed. I managed to make it back to the pizza place, and after taking a moment to catch my breath, grabbed the pizza and carefully reinsert my heart back from where it dropped. I got out of the car and went back inside. My boss was just getting ready to lock up, and it sounded like he was about to lay into me for still having the pizza I was supposed to deliver, but I cut him off and told him I almost got killed tonight. I gave him all the details as to what happened, but he told me I should have at the very least gotten the money before he started shooting at me. I decided right then that I had enough, so I told him I quit, and with the pizza still in my hand, dabbed on him. Then I got in my car and went home. I didn't end up calling the police or anything, because frankly, I was just so tired and scared that I wanted to forget the whole thing. I found out later in the news that 2 of my co-workers had been sent to that house over the next few days, and had both been found murdered, first being shot and then skinned and stuffed into a freezer in the basement. The old guy was never found, and that makes me scared he might come back for me at a later date. Frankly, I just wish there was something I could have done to stop those murders. Anything would have been better than nothing.